Hi, welcome to Chewing the Channel. This week I have the Chief Revenue Officer / co-founder / CEO / CFO, Sam Hasson from Tinkle. Absolutely made up for this because not only do we have a founder on, we also have someone that is pioneering in terms of driving technology businesses, support, growth, Yorkshire, Silicone within the great county of Yorkshire, but covering the north. So excited to get into his journey from being, sorry, you're not good enough for the 11 plus. You're going to go to, this route to then running his own business and lots of fun stuff in between. So hopefully you enjoy this one. Thank you. Mr. Hasson, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I am all right. I'm particularly excited for this because you are, for anyone that doesn't know you, the most energetic channel leader that I've ever come across. And I know in comparison to me, that's probably not that difficult, but I've been stalking you for a while. I'm really excited to get into a few things, if I'm honest with you, mate. Obviously, you are co-founder of Tinkle, channel business that's kind of growing. You're going to be at Channel Live, which we're excited for. But before that, you've done a number of sales jobs, and you could probably be sat opposite me as a account director, a sales director within a corporate business, but that wasn't for you. And that's what I kind of want to get into that a little bit. And then also, you do a lot of work because unfortunately for you, you're not a Yorkshireman, but you're a kind of an you're an adopted.
I'm not a Yorkshireman, that's for sure, mate. I'm back home today.
Yeah, exactly.
Good, it's raining. It's a bit smelly in Manchester. I love it.
Yeah, you can tell from his accent, but you're an adopted Yorkshireman, and you do a lot for the tech community in Yorkshire as well as the other stuff. So I know that's an area of your passion. Yeah. Also, there's this thing. It's two letters. What is it? AI. You know a bit about it. Keen for your view on that in terms of the channel. But kind of before we get into that fun and games, you're a Manchester boy.
Yeah.
Grew up
in
Sale.
Yeah, Sale.
So posh. Maybe not as posh back then. Maybe I don't know. Is that fair?
30 years, no, maybe not as posh now. No, it's posher now than it was growing up. Yeah, but Sale's massive. Like all Manchester towns, it's got its nice bits. It's got its rough bits.
And what I'm going to ask this question because for those who don't know, Sam's a bit of a control freak, as most sales leaders are. He said, what are you going to talk about with my background? See how worried he is. How far do you go back? What can I say? And his marketing team's really worried as well, thinking, God, is Sam going to destroy our business? But, so kind of growing up in Sale, teenager.
Yeah.
What did you do for money?
Yeah, so pretty humble beginnings. Like my mum brought me and my two sisters up. Real effort around hard work, emphasis around, you got to make it happen.
It's tough that as well because your mum's kind of spinning a lot of plates and you're kind of seeing that and aware of that, but you've got your sisters and it's
it's a true family, event on that with that pressure and team together, muddle through and get through all that stuff and seeing different sides of that, from a life standard point of view and what you want to become and how you want to try and change that trajectory that you could be on around different things. So that was good. Went to Ashton-on-Mersey High School. I mean, the home of Carl Pilkington. I don't know if you know that. But he's a lot older than me, in case you're thinking he's the same age.
He's got similar.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a bonkers school. You either passed you went to Sale Grammar if you're smart at the age of like getting defined at in Sale. Obviously they have the 11 plus. I think they still do. And at that age, you got put in the bucket of, you're going to Ashton-on-Mersey, you're going to go to South Trafford College, you're going to do a vocational course and, you can do hair and beauty or become a mechanic.
So you kind of, and this is interesting because if you, like anyone watching this or listening in terms of life, at 11 years old, it's almost like a conveyor belt, isn't it?
Correct.
So you're going one conveyor belt to an area where there's aspirations for university, maybe for growth, working in tech sector, all that stuff. And then there's another conveyor belt going to we're just kind of ticking a box here because you need to be educated, but your aspirations are not.
And there's a great, no, you're right, and that you felt that. And back in the day, I think that was the pressure that you felt. Education, I think it's a lot of pressure for all kids. My kids are going through that system now.
Did that conflict you a bit in terms of you've got the domestic position where you're as you said before, looking aspirationally, going, I want to achieve, I want the better things in life.
Yeah.
But then the other side is, if you like, the system are saying, sorry, Sam, you can't have, you know, those things that you want. We think you should be on a different,
I mean, and I think for me as well, from a like the journey for me is being smart. Yeah, but obviously got a lot of energy. Back then, most probably would be, you know, diagnosed with neurodiversity, ADHD, or whatever people want to say about that. For me, but at the time, you know, that's not a thing, right? It's you know, you're just a boy, you need to go run out in the park, trouble, or you know, you're distracted, etc. And I think through that point, Ashton's was a great school, made some great friends. I mean, some of the stories that we did, and I think talks back to some of the journeys where I look back now of where I'm at, you know, at the age of 40, and the business is, you know, scaling, and we've got this journey you want to talk about is just always that opportunity. I think for me, that journey though, you talk about it, is like Ashton and Mersey didn't do A-levels, right? So you had to then travel to Lim. So I got the bus to do my A-levels because I wanted to do my AS levels and my A-levels. I wanted to go to university. So then, you know, we had to...
How many from that sort of, from your social circle at high school, how many did that, I'm going to get a bus to
I most probably, if I look at it, most probably it was more like 10%, I reckon. 20% would, out of that whole year group, would go and do AS.
And it's difficult in those situations because a lot of time you're seeing other people go into the workplace and contextually at that age start earning good money, and you're kind of scrimping, I'm assuming, the bus and all this stuff, and maybe a little part-time. So the attraction at 16, 17 is to be earning a few £100 a week because you're seeing your friends do that, then they can go out and to have that sticking with, no, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go.
And that was it. I think my sisters all, Claire went to the grammar school, Victoria went to them, so that there was always that investment. Older? Older, that investment in education, super smart. They've got PhDs and all that sort of stuff. And I think for me, that's really where like my academic career started to take off a bit more. I was a bit more aligned to, interested in the subjects I was interested in, and provide that solid foundation, which in my career was always, you know, you work hard, and you will achieve. And obviously, everyone sort of goes on that economic, so that education path to get to that point. I went to Liverpool, studied at Liverpool, you know, which was a fantastic experience for lots of reasons. Being basically, so you know, Will, I just go and live in places which hate Manx.
Oh yeah,
it's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Leeds, Liverpool. I mean, trust me, Kensington and Liverpool, mate. That's not a place you want to be if you're a young Manc.
We had Adam, owner of IPEX, on, and he went to university in Liverpool, and I think he was saying when he was there, he had a bit of a cash job where he was started selling certain things. I think it might have been advertising, something like that. Yeah. And he was kind of lived a great life is probably the best way. The way he just came in on a Friday and they were gone by Sunday. Sort of thing.
Well, my issue was with like the sort of cash jobs. I was never, and this is like another thing, like I was always rebellious, like and saying get told what to do, like I am a polite and I am conform and I will, you know, respect. And obviously I wouldn't have the career before I set up Tinkle without, you know, appreciating the ecosystem of, you know, working for people and bosses and stuff.
Hierarchies and stuff.
But there's some absolute funny stories around, like, you know, I think I did get sacked from most of my jobs when I was like up until like 21. In terms of these jobs where you're like waiting on. I was the best waiter on.
What's the best sacking then?
I ignited a war with the waiting on staff at the Jolly Fresher in Lim. There was a really.
How did you do that?
So the chef in there, the head chef was quite. He was a Scouser actually, ironically.
Combustible.
But he was always quite argumentative, and I used to come in and wind him up a little bit. He used to wind me up. And this one time I came in and he threw something at me the day before, like a potato or something. And so this time I thought I'm gonna, you know, throw a potato at him. But they have these swingy doors. So I run in, launch this potato at him, and I run out. But he throws it back at me, and I dodge, and it just hits this customer on the back of the head. And I'm not joking. I just literally ran out. I just knew that I was gone. The woman said,
you know, a waiter versus a chef, there's only going to be one winner. And
Is that was
always your
Yeah.
And it's not kind of, 'cause the number of people we've had have gone through a chunk of jobs where there's been, where they've been exited using modern speak, because not that they didn't work hard or weren't dedicated, but they were very much, and it sounds like you as well, where they would stand their ground and they had a strong opinion and they weren't afraid to kind of lead forwards with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes in certain jobs,
Yeah.
it is very much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think that was obviously my early years, which was, for me, it was like lots of energy. I loved learning. I could see opportunity. And I think really on that career where it sort of started to take off around the entrepreneurial spirit was definitely getting into business to business sales, and being.
How did you get into sales then? Was it?
Yeah.
Is it the normal one with a lot of salespeople where kind of leave university, want to earn some cash, and sales is the vehicle?
Actually, I'll be really honest, and so my direction, I've always wanted to do what I'm doing right now, and I always wanted to own my own company, and I always wanted to live this dream that I'm living now, which is to be a business owner and do something and control that element, and the journey to get to it, obviously, as you can imagine, is being hard. But I got into Pareto law. I wanted to be a salesperson. I wanted to be, actually, because I did science, I wanted to be a medical sales rep. Got a job doing that.
I wanted to do that. It was like
get the Toyota Corolla.
But Pareto law is worth touching on. So for anyone watching this, so there'll be probably business owners who have maybe used, and this is definitely not an advertisement for Pareto law. And there'll be salespeople that have gone through that process. It is a very unique one from a recruiter perspective, in that, and probably the same for you, there's an assessment day.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
And it's a little bit like X Factor, isn't it?
Yeah,
they'll go,
you've got people watching you.
Sam, stand to the left, Will, stand to the right, Will, see you later. And then at the end of this assessment day, they go, well done.
Yeah.
You've got a job interview for somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. And it's quite intense, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. So I went through that process, got on their books, got a job working with a global company, thinking this would be great, big company, did really well to sell some medical equipment. Just so boring. It was basically begging. It wasn't really selling. And then at the time, this is really where it all kicked off. It was a bit of a thing. I got dumped by my girlfriend as well, so I was a bit heartbroken in Manchester. I couldn't walk around the streets of Sale, so in case I was caught up with anyone. So I got in my car. I got in my car. Got a job on Meanwood Road, if you know Leeds. It's an industrial road with a small reseller on a graduate scheme from Astra Telecom, which were a global vendor of the first their digital phone system that they were pushing, the Intelligate. And when I met a couple of great entrepreneurs, David Marsden, who's had a career and exited his business in the future. And at that moment, I met my business partner, who's my first friend in Leeds, which was Joe.
It's quite interesting though. You've kind of gone, and it like forks in road and sliding door moments. You could quite easily have gone medical sales, and I'm not saying sales there's such a thing as a job for life, but sort of medical sales equipment is a relatively, you're always going to need that. The NHS is blooming huge and all that stuff. So, and then you had Manchester stuff, and you've just gone, no, I'm going to Leeds. I'm going to drive to Leeds. I'm heartbroken. This job's boring me. I've had it. I'm going. And I'm going to work for a smaller reseller.
Startup. He's a startup.
The reseller bit, and this is a lot of our business. In them early days with resellers, you're exposed. I assume you're exposed to everything.
Oh yeah, you got the boss. You got the boss coming down asking where your numbers are, where your calls are.
It matters,
and it's pressure on, and you're delivering for that him and his family, and you're delivering for that experience. And I worked my socks off, and I think that the whole progression of that sales process is like, for me, was knowing that sales isn't a gift of the gab, throw enough muck at the wall it sticks. It's actually, I really wanted to invest in understanding why people buy, why businesses buy, where technology was, and I always had a trajectory around, understanding how things come together and really quickly. So when I was speaking to customers, I understand how technology fit together within, an MSP and the value prop. But it was the 6 o'clock startups, I was doing 50,000 miles in that car, my little Astra. Loved the fact that I had a fuel card. I don't think David did at the time, because every weekend I was off doing everything. You know what I mean? But there was it was a great learning curve. I moved, and from there I learned, business B&I networking. Going to York in the morning at like 5:30 on a Friday, start at like 6, 7.
Because you won't have with a smaller reseller, as opposed to, my formative sales was kind of going into NTL Tele West Virgin, answering sales calls. They were getting 400 or 500 sales calls a day for doing broadband and things like that.
Yeah.
For a smaller reseller in Leeds,
yeah,
it's quite the opposite. You're having to bang the door down to create opportunity.
Correct. Yeah. I was door knocking. I mean, actually, genuinely, I was going around the industrial park, right? And this is another thing I talk about in the business, because all forms of, as you say, like the basis of what Tinkle is knocking on doors with getting the compliment slips, putting into an Excel spreadsheet and calling them the next day. I mean, look at what we do now with AI. We're talking about what we're doing. It's mad. It's
funny though, on the sales principle, that I was talking to the marketing expert the other day, and normally you get kind of salespeople, and a lot of people watching listening will relate to this, who've employed salespeople, particularly in maybe the direct space, where it's I haven't got any leads. Where's my leads? I need leads. But they don't have that ownership that you're kind of talking about.
Make it happen.
They're jumping in the car, they're going to places, they're doing, B&I, what's that?
6, 7
6, 7 in the morning breakfast, standing up in front of...
And these are all the building blocks. And like I was saying now to anybody who comes into our team, it's like, I know every generation is different, but like, and rightly so, right? Because everyone needs to evolve and become better as humans. But for me, like the principles of hard work, effort and skill, and learning those skills, like any footballer or anyone who achieves anything, you have to then, those early years are, doing, I remember I did a deal with Bulldog Brewery in Leeds. This a guy, honestly, I was scared of him. He said, well, if this deal doesn't go well, like I will make you cry. And I was just like, let's just sign. There's a 4-user phone system on a finance deal. I was signing finance contracts, and having that responsibility to go and deliver it. But it's really great entrepreneurs to learn from that, how it all works. And that was a stepping stone, really, because I met Joe. I mean, look, if I hadn't gone to there, my business partner, became my first friend in Leeds, and he was a computer scientist. He was on the IT support desk. I was the shiny sales guy with my black pinstripe suit and shiny shoes, and he was there in his t-shirt doing the IT support. And he's more of that grassroots, true sort of make money. Most of some of the stories you heard around, like setting up his own managed service provider business, and obviously runs an e-commerce platform. So I would say, like, in conjunction to myself, that is that side of the grassroots entrepreneur where, he went and set something up without having a career, first around seeing what that looks like. For me, I always wanted a career. I wanted to go and do multi-million-pound deals, right? And then my journey, obviously, I always wanted to do my own business, but I wanted to go and see what it felt like to be the best at what I was.
You wanted to put the blocks
by my talent. I wanted to see what I could do in sales, to see how far I could take that, and how much that would enable me to learn and grow. And I think that's the foremost the basis of Tinkle. So if we look at like that career from like Applegarth at the time, I went to a regional partner selling big MD110 maintenance contracts on these big phone systems for councils and universities, and that got me a bit of a tickle around, how do the big organisations want to buy it, although I'm just selling them a maintenance contract. And then from there, really, where the real learning happened was at Alternative Networks.
And was it when you're kind of, because starting from a small reseller moving up, sometimes see people's journeys as a bit, they can either stay at that reseller, provided they do a good job, and they're at that reseller till it either exits or they become a sales director, and then they maybe spin off and their own, and they stay in that sphere of the reseller world. Whereas you're kind of looking at it, it's adding these sales skills, hunger, in terms of the hungriest dog gets fed. If I'm not out knocking doors, going to networking events, we're not going to get opportunity. But at the same time, you're going, it's like, I want to look at the bigger businesses and navigate into that world where I'm. Was that kind of an ego-y thing or money thing, or
no? I think
thing?
For me, and I was talking to Curtis about this on the way up. It's like, for me, it's always about that development. I'm the first to learn, and I think if I look at it, I could get to a certain plateau quite quickly, and I want to learn more. I wanted to Yeah, of course, it's an ego thing. Like you're a winner, aren't you? As a business person, you want to be a winner, and you want to win for your family, you want to win for your business, and all the stuff that comes with it. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why I'm a sportsman. I love that. But I think for me, it was I wanted to go and prove that boy, in Sale, back then,
11 years old.
And a lot of my things was proving people wrong. Proving that you can go and achieve. You can go and why can't you go and have that Mercedes car that you wanted to have, and there's some trial tribulations around that. I mean, the AN stories are hysterical. What a business that was that the boys built down there, and I was in the Manchester office, but it was literally like Wolf of Wall Street. It was brilliant. Some fantastic deals done. There were real sales. I mean, you lasted a year. You were good at it.
I remember Johnny, the CEO of Access Group. He said. He kind of during his formative years was phones for you,
right?
And his view, he said that environment was exactly the same there. Where if you did 6 months, 12 months, it was a skill set that stayed with you forever.
Yeah.
And you either, and I don't know if this is the same alternate, you either loved it and flourished in it,
yeah,
or you left very early.
Yeah,
either your choice or theirs.
There
was literally, which is kind of similar to your grounding. When you're 11, where it's either grammar or Mersey, at that fork in the road there, but you've kind of fast forward 10, 12, 13 years, whatever it is, and you're in a Wolf of Wall Street, stand up until you sell some your shit, Sam, you're not on your numbers, do this, do that.
I mean, HR would have a field day now.
When
it was hysterical, some of the stuff that happened in there. But it was a pressure cooker, and they put you under, but they paid you really well. They paid you awesome commissions. It was it's funny. I mean, I remember you talk about what you get to, and obviously when you're a kid, say a kid like 24, 25, like I remember I'd be so proud. I had delivered to the car park the E-Class cab, red leather neck scarf, and all this sort of stuff thing, and everyone was looking at this office above Lancaster House, right? It was so funny, right? But what I did, if I didn't sell, I couldn't pay me bills, right? And I just thought in my head, I'm just going to be smashing the deals, and I tell you what, I got shingles on the back of it. It was such a life story, funny, like how, and I realised actually, like you go through all these things where you think you're invincible, you're going to just keep doing the deals, you're just going to keep smashing it, but I've always pushed myself. I pushed myself for lots of reasons.
Do you think, looking back on it, as much as in that environment, there'll have definitely been an ego bit, same as
everyone's got an ego, right?
But then, do you think also, even if it was subconsciously, you were going, I work really well under pressure, and buying this car that's got monthly payments, and I want to do all these things at the same time, I have to get out. But it's almost driving yourself on,
On that, mate, do you know what? I think I turned 40 last year, and like when you do, you start thinking about stuff, especially when you get to that age, like what I'm at now. And I was thinking, like, why do I do what I do? Like, I don't need to put myself under this. Like, I put myself under so much pressure, to achieve like with the business and everything else. And I realised that it's like I'm kind of addicted to having that, and I need that to my being. It needs to have risk on. It needs to have game on. It needs to have, stuff
if you're in a situation, a massive business, bought Tinkle for billions, you don't need to work, you're retired, all that stuff. Is the part of you, as I'm saying this, thinking, Jesus, what would I do?
Well, more scared of my own time.
I'm not
good on my own.
I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd invest.
Nah.
You wouldn't be someone that is, I'm going to have 5 holidays a year and I'm going to play golf.
No.
You would have to do something.
No, it's like, for me, it's not like for me, I'm not doing what I'm doing to think I can stop. It's like, just keep going. And I think for me, as I say, I'm not good on my own. Like, I like to, I mean, if I was sat in my house now, I'd just be writing music or playing music. I'd have to do something, I'd be thinking about lots of stuff. And I like, for me, it's either I'd be running, right? Or I'll be working, or with the family, or but put myself into something creative, or doing something. Although that's my rest for me. It's like thinking of and doing, and that's my enjoyment. And I suppose, like, we talk about the journey bit, like that alternative was an amazing experience. 5 years I did there, and before they exited onto, obviously, I think Daisy bought them, didn't they? And I learned so much. They're smart guys, obviously City boys down there. James Murray and the guys who set that business up. But give me exposure to London, and I think that's really where like things did to take off.
Lights.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can imagine that sort of ecosystem when you're doing deals. There's a lad in there's a good lad called Hugh. Me and him, he was a king of the south, I was king of the north. I used to take the mick out of him because he could sit 5 meetings a day, right? And I had to go, and he was selling to finance big professional service companies in London who
Jumping
had
on the
budget.
tube and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
tube, and I could do
all.
3 meetings, but I had to do logistics, farming, Manchester, industrial, right? And people do question you about cost, and there is a huge difference. And back then, even more of a difference compared to what Manchester's obviously proudly become. And I still beat him, because I worked harder, and that was the challenge then, to beat Hugh, and he was to beat me, and he had 1 year on, I had 1 year off, and that was the internal challenge. And he's gone on, had a great career, and I've obviously doing my thing with it all. But that was it. Each step of the company had a different objective.
And it's that sort of, because it's interesting, because you've got kind of you've not mentioned, apart from the car that you needed to sell commission for, it's not cash, it's achieving, learning new things, being the best, just
winning,
driving forwards, moving forwards. Is that because you see those characteristics? Money often is a byproduct of that. So if you do these things, if you're
and I've learned so much. I mean, you set up a business, trust me, like you really learn about, like you don't do it for money. Just like it's big, way bigger than that. Obviously you do. Obviously that is the objective, and that's why we're all in business, to make a profitable, sustainable, repeatable business. But ultimately, people who do what we do and the journey you go on, and those trials and tribulations building out this technology business that I've done, it's not the objective there is a bigger cause for me.
Do you think when with starting a business, a lot of entrepreneurs speak to, particularly with a sales discipline, it's helped and hindered in the early days. It's helped because they've started their business and they're going, right, to your point in your first reseller job,
make money.
We need to make money, we need to sell, we need to get ourselves out there. Whereas potentially a very technical person would go, I want to get it perfect before I launch it. And they'll be in their bedroom kind of doing it for 6 months, 12 months. And you can launch on, like James Drake said, you can launch on good and aspire to great. But you can't launch on excellent. So you've got that element. But then, as Reamsy talks about Blue Cube, you could be in a position where, as a salesperson, a high performing one, your lifestyle's there. So you're used to the better things in life. You've got the Mercedes, you've got the holidays, you go out with your mates. So you have this conflict between starting a business, cash, lifestyle. So if you've got savings, not a lot. Do you know what I mean? So how did you, in those early days? I mean, my first question really is why, and then my second question is, for those early days, and a lot of people will look at business owners now and go, Sam's he's speaking at these events, he's done this stuff, it's piece of piss. But they won't see the
journey, the hard work, the risk, and what it does for you personally, mentally. So that journey, the why was really simple. So after I went to alternative, I went to level 3, and I wanted to go and do that multi-million pound, big deals, global FTSE 100, transforming their business and working with some of the world's largest companies and top minds of CIOs, like I was working with super, super bright commercial directors, managers, salespeople, and I fine-tuned my sales craft, going out and flying across Europe, being dropped into these energy days to go and do what I did. And, that experience, I think the building blocks of what I built Tinkle wouldn't be where it is without the team, obviously with Joe, Matthew, Dan, but also without my exposure to how the ecosystem businesses work. Right?
Well, because you've done, and I think this is really important for a lot of resellers I know, they'll have their core customers where, and this is probably what you encountered when you were at when we first started working in Leeds, with businesses where there's equally as important to that business, but the requirements are potentially a lower value. Their sort of questions are like is it bulldog you said before? If you do this wrong, I'm gonna kill you.
Until you see you cry.
And then as you going up that chain, you're then talking about businesses where there's many millions of pounds, there's different outcomes, there's different ways of talking to them people. So you're kind of, developing it, going right, I can talk to a FTSE 100 CEO or CFO.
Yeah.
But then I can also talk to
The guy
Bob Jones, who
Yeah.
runs a plumbing merchant, and I
100%.
can nail in terms
Yeah,
of...
and I think mate, and I think I went to that element, and what I loved about that element was it was, you know, super technology focused. You know, businesses wanted to buy based upon the outcomes of technology rather than, you know, the cost of the object. And working in bids, commercials, doing like, you know, real late night calls into the board of businesses, being dynamic, taking all the skills that I did from knocking on doors, but applying that appetite and that will and that assertion and getting in there.
Hunger's transferable.
And then pushing that through. But the skill I learned and the talent around the people in the room that I picked up on, great training. It was a bit Wild West when I first joined, you know, like all these tier ones. I mean, I think there've been like 4 different companies. Whilst I was there, CenturyLink, Lumen. Now they obviously sold to Colt for like £8 billion like a few years ago. But those networks, I mean, my phone system's built on the back of the Colt network, right? Tier 1 that I wouldn't have had access to in terms of being able to form my business on.
It's interesting because I would say this to anyone watching, listening, and you've mentioned a number of people's names during this. Is all of our careers in different resellers or wholesalers or tech startups, things like that. There's always key people within that journey. Who to build your own network that you can either, it might be someone that you can pick up the phone to, it might be someone that you listen to and go, I like what they've done there, or I don't like what they've done there. Do you know what I mean? You can being aware of your surroundings, because a lot of times people are quite close-minded in terms of they know what they know, and they're very.
But I think the things in business, you can go and grab. Tinkle got to grab more revenue initially, and grab more revenue from just going direct, right? We could have just gone and got that, but we didn't. And I believe what we're doing, and you know, and where we landed is now. What the thing is that you make decisions and you don't get the fruit of that recognition for years, right? And that feedback loop. And I think that's really important, that you keep everybody invested in this project and business, and realize when you're bootstrapping something that, you know, there isn't a magic wand, there isn't a silver bullet in what we do. Well, like, and I promise you, like, if there was, then more people would survive and more people would do it. I think there isn't a silver bullet. There's a multiple things of getting and achieving. Obviously focus is there, having the right team. And I think that evolution of that whole journey where I landed was that, look, you know, I was working with really super talented people, but I was so bored, and actually working from home that was in London, but pretty much these guys are global, right? I was sat there doing deals, but I was doing 3 deals a year, not even that, or 1 deal a year. And I had a team around me I would just like go in there, like performing a sales presentation, do the commercial contracts. But I had a team of lawyers, and it had just become, I sort of found myself becoming more and more like introverted and a bit more.
And we know from the medical profession job at the start, if you're bored,
well, there's a lot of combining factors. So then I did the crazy thing of around saying, well, I've sold all these rubbish phone systems. I mean, I sold one of some of Mytel's largest deployments. I love them, not saying it's rubbish now, but like, I just wanted to work with not just reselling. I didn't want to become a telecoms reseller. I wanted to build technology, and really the output of like Joe and this involvement of using his engineering team at ITX with Matthew, our CTO, and seeing his developments being amazing, and Dan, our software, we've basically grassrooted and built a concept of a Netflix for business communication platform.
Because a lot of people, there's probably a few bits to unpack really. So you could have carried on.
Yeah, making loads of money.
Living London life, but bored.
Yeah.
You could have quite easily transitioned into, and there's not, like, I love resellers, obviously reasons, but you could have transitioned into a reseller.
Yeah.
And gone, and I've got all this knowledge on all these products. I've got this address book. Going to start a San telco. And going to become a reseller and lease phone systems, make a load of cash, maybe sell the business and go again and all that stuff. Instead, you've kind of, through your network, you've gone, actually, there's a gap, technology gap. So I want to start my own business, but B, I want to build something as well, which kind of is doubly hard. Some may say doubly stupid.
But
and then the third bit's probably, and I've had this from a lot of business owners as well, where even subconsciously they're partnering with people who complement them. So for example, Joe without you loses the sales grow, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you, without Joe, lose a lot of the kind of structure, the engineering
Yeah.
side. So the balance between
it works, and I think that's the thing is like if you ever meet us as a team and the wider team as well, with obviously Matthew and Dan, and obviously now the super team that we're building out, is yin and yang. I was speaking to Curtis about on the train back from London last night. Like, even with what relationship you're in with your wife, partner, whoever, like they've got to complement what you're good at. You help bring them on, and I think having that stability, especially in the early days where we're bootstrapping this platform.
Well, a lot of people probably don't know, and hopefully you don't mind me saying this, but when you started the business, you took was it a COVID?
Yeah, we've done everything.
Loan.
Yeah, COVID. Yeah, maximum our COVID loan. I mean, we mortgaged my house. Like the step I'll never forget it.
Because you're kind of going off a cliff, aren't you, in terms of earning cash to no cash.
Yeah.
And then
have
investing.
A young family. Like, so Max was, it was just coming out of COVID. Max was just born. He's 5 now. So young family, 2 kids, dependents, building out a phone system application, which was going to be like Netflix. And I got to a point. I mean, no, look, they backed me, and the belief from my mum.
Big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then also, more importantly, Kerry, she's the one who was not in control of any of that situation and could have said, no, don't do that. Like, how are we going to get through? You've got 8 months to live.
Yeah.
Why are you building this phone system and calling it Tinkle with like calling plans like Tinkle Anywhere?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Tinkle Unlimited. But what it is, I suppose, looking at it now, this whole business is my ideas around how we could simplify and automate technology. And why can't you just get a phone system and build it yourself? And then why can't partners sell something which makes sense to their customers? And it's super simple and it automates it all and it builds it. And I kind of think like that bit's just the creative bit that I enjoy, and I enjoy that the most. And we're going through a lot of development work at the moment with the platform. And equally, I'm as excited as that as I am still of, the partnerships that we're signing up and the great deals that we're turning up and stuff. So,
because that's it. I mean, a lot of the time that I say it's that formative bit, because you have there's a couple of bits that you have the shit. We've got to make money.
Yeah.
I've got young kids.
Yeah.
I was written off at 11, so I'm going to prove people wrong. I've got this hunger and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, as you're evolving that business in those early days, and I see this a lot with founders, is the recruitment can be a challenge because you're there's a pressure on you. The business needs to be able to pay these people who pay their mortgages and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then the also bit is you bringing in people into your baby and they need to fit the culture and all those things. And to the Leeds example, when you first started working, they got a salesperson that was not afraid to go out and about and work really hard for them. Have there been any kind of as you've kind of grown that business through adding people in, what are the sort of lessons you've learned there?
I've learned. I mean, for me and the Leeds stuff. So you go from that journey, right? I'll get the question. I didn't know anyone in Leeds, right? I genuinely didn't. I lived in Leeds. I loved it. I love where we are in North Leeds. Played for Headingley Football, but I actually did no business for 10 years in that region. I just loved going to London, 2.5 hours, coming back into Yorkshire, near all the countryside. Brilliant. I set a business up in Leeds, a tech company, and I didn't know anyone. And then I cold called. I set up my own networking group with Gareth. Called it Leeds Cloud. Put 10 grand behind us to go and host it at Ellen Road. As a United fan, imagine doing that. Yeah,
you're
pocketing that money, and that's only because Gareth and all a lot of Leeds United fans.
But
I might imagine that, right? So I set up a networking company to help drive innovation for businesses around technology, because I believe in that. I Tinkle's a protest in a way in terms of helping northern businesses get a better communication platform at an affordable cost with no contracts. I mean, that's what we built, right? And we did get there, and you could automate all that, and that's what we did. And I was pushing that to Yorkshire people, so it went down quite well.
Is that because in that Yorkshire market, you mentioned kind of alternative networks, you had the salesperson in London who had all of the businesses there, and then the north, the battle you've had to do in terms of travelling around just geographically and the concentration of businesses. Did you feel, particularly in the sector you wanted to go in, that it was very London centric and that you saw opportunity
enough
outside of it.
I saw talent.
But
I mean,
you needed it.
I saw
needed
talent
to
in the
be.
team. I think that journey for me was talent in the team. I was down there, and I had pre-sales technical consultants who were getting paid, you know, hundreds of thousands. Well, let's say six figures, you know, for their wage. And I was coming back to Leeds, Alma Road, where Joe's office was, in an attic, and seeing the talent of my team. And I believed in the talent that I was working with, like Matthew, Joe, Dan, and I was like, right, we can make this happen. These are better than the guys down there. And I saw the discrepancy, right? And that's why obviously I'm a proud Northern around it. No, nothing against London. Love London, you know.
Yeah.
It's a great market and great people and great minds.
There's an alternative. So this networking group,
Leeds Cloud,
Leeds
right? So
Cloud.
then what I did, I then saw a guy called Jeff Shepherd, who runs Yorkshire Mafia. I cold called him. Well, I say cold called him. Getting hold of him was hard because I wanted to buy data off him to promote my own networking tech group. Fast forward it, you know, they became business partners and we created following his brand that he already set up, which is Silicon Yorkshire. And that sort of was, yeah, again, it was another thing where, you know, that was a thing where he's not there to make money. It's there to help businesses, and someone needs to stand up and put their head above the parapet and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help the region become, you know.
Well, I'd encourage, certainly if you're a reseller or a business in sort of Yorkshire, Silicon Yorkshire. I mean,
You guys have sponsored it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I've been fortunate to go, and I've done a lot of things in the past, but you're talking about 230, 240 businesses in a room, and it's very, I'll use this is a new phrase for you, Hassan style. So it's very informal. There's no kind of a badge and you have to introduce yourself, because I hate inorganic conversations, if I'm honest, where someone's kind of measuring things against you and stuff. I prefer just to get to know someone, and you know, anything that supports Northern tech and Northern sort of businesses, I'm behind 100%. And there's resellers there I know that have worked with businesses. There's you saying, I'm going to start a business. I'm also going to build a networking group as well at the same time. So you kind of, that's it's kind of gone straight. But what was the driver? How do you separate having a networking group and a startup business that's growing together,
and a young family,
and family?
Oh man, honestly, so 4.5 years ago was like when I cut off from, it comes 4 years in April when I cut off from, you know, paid employment for it, although I've been building the business before then, and it's got some funny stories about that above the kebab shop in Headingley, Donna. But yeah, I did ask myself why, you know, but you talk about that gratification or justification around why you do what you do, and, you know, I'm always beating myself up, and I think that's the thing which people don't understand who, you know, think it's there, is that I'm lonely in a way, lots of ways. Although I've got my missus, I've got my team, even my business partner, because that journey and the pressure you put on yourself is on your mind. You know, are you making the right decision? And are you going to waste all this money that you're never going to get back? And how are you going to get it back? And you know, I think for me, it's like, as you know, it's going to happen. You know, but you don't know when, you don't know how at the start. And there is the plan is to focus on the key areas, and the teams in Trello keep every day delivering, making the boat go quicker. On that moment with the Silicon Yorkshire stuff and setting up the scale up, the synergy was like, if I can get access to this community and I can have a voice within that and help them, and always, for me, that things help. Like with our partnership, our relationship with you personally is all about how do we help each other well. You know, how you guys are doing a great job, you know, in the channel around scaling your business, and you've got great people, and good people should help each other, you know, and I'm a collaborator, you know, like even like the competition, there's no competition, there's always a way, everyone's got a different part, and if you can work together. But the problem with networking, and this is the thing, is you're not going to go there and someone's going to say, oh, well done, mate, is a contract. It's building relationships and building relationships with the right people, and suppliers I've met through that organisation. Advisors.
A lot of time people will go, salesperson will go once and go, I didn't get any leads.
Yeah.
It's rubbish. But you have to, like, anything in life, you've got to...
Well, that's a really good point, actually, about like what you say about myself. And like, look, salespeople, great. But I think my challenge has been, I don't want, like, I'm a CRO, right? But ultimately, the vision for me is that I will become the CEO of this business. And I'm transitioning to that next phase now where, you know, I built something and we're building a suite of applications that we deliver to the market, and being strategic around that. I love the CRO element. Of course I do. I love talking to people.
But you're having to add the skill set of of the CEO element where you've got the finances.
I run the business.
HR, the whole
picture, but also you're making decisions around like the strategy of where we go, and the type of partners.
Can't be buying a Mercedes now that.
No, but I mean, all that goes right.
Yeah,
but it's like anything. It's like when you have kids, like you give everything to that family. You put your money into the pot. You don't know where it goes. You just literally invest in that whole thing. And
I can very much relate to that.
I know, and so can most, especially at the time when it's really hard at the moment. But for me, it's like that is the same with the business. Like you are giving to everything. You're the person who makes sure everything runs well. You're the thing that makes sure that everyone gets paid. They're happy. The development of humans and all this stuff. And you're always giving. And I think the difficulty for me is that how I'm wired, and I'm trying to learn this, is I don't know when to stop. Like I don't have genuinely in my brain. I just don't have that moment where I go, oh, I'm resting. And I need to find something which will help me with that. I don't know if it's part of my condition or whatever, but that's that place. And that place is most probably running. That is just going out for a 10-mile run and just having a white space. But that's the only time I do stop. Like, I'm thinking about everything.
Yeah.
And it's always that way. But
and it kind of helps me segue into kind of where you're approaching. So all businesses are looking at AI, and be it customer service in terms of applications, so that they're dealing with that, be it writing code, be it pretty much everything, bid proposals, all that kind of space. And a lot of people are talking about it, kind of, I suppose, Philistines like me. Some businesses are looking at it and saying, great, I don't need to hire these people. Others is looking at it and going, this will enhance our offering. Where do you see opportunities for resellers in our space that previously weren't available to them? Because I think some are dipping their toe, but it's not fully prevalent yet, if that makes sense.
So I think on the really good point, I mean, on the technology piece, which is great, obviously, like, I know it's a portion of what I want to talk about, is like, communications is the most exciting part to be in it for me now. I've seen the evolution from ISDN to IP, VoIP 1, VoIP.2, UC during lockdown. Obviously, the explosion of collaboration was insane, with obviously Microsoft Teams and Zoom, etc. But then we're in this now new era of like AI comms, and I keep talking about it, and it's not because I want to beat people up about AI comms. It's because if I look at why we're seeing an exciting part to be in telecommunications, is that the fact that speech-to-speech analytics and the enablement of the outcomes it delivers with a real ROI for customers is so prevalent, and the things that are going on in the market are driving the request for reducing costs of time, reducing the cost of scale. We're working within our pillars around some fantastic ROI and use cases, which, look, I'm not going to lie, some of the partners we work with, they're working with mid-enterprise businesses with 2,000 employees, and they're wondering why they hire 700 people to do data-driven tasks and answer all these calls, right? And that is obviously, there's conversations around how data-driven basic tasks can be automated, right? And that's what, being able to have that data lookup around accessing your, want to get some information from a call center or a business. All of those processes now can be automated.
I always remember when I was managing a SME sales team, we would kind of coach the guys and girls. You would listen to calls, but you would maybe capture 5% if you were lucky. And then you try and pick out bits to then coach the person. But wasn't representative. Now you're able to have everyone's calls, things they spoke about. And not in a big brother way, because salespeople just want to improve, in my experience. But you can go, right, well, these things, if you focus on that, and it gives you a lot more coverage. Because literally, I think we had a team, myself, listening to
quality assurance, sales, sales management, compliance. And we just built out, 5 tools which the channel we built tools that people want to buy in the market first and foremost, right? We're not here as a big, like the ecosystem of the marketplace. Obviously, you've got the guys like Gamma who dictate that. They've got a large install base of their Horizon platform. They're telling everybody, let's go WebEx, you know. Really, that is a decision which isn't for the end customers, because really they should just use Teams, really, in that sense, because it's free and a reliable super phone system. But there's decisions get made from a technology point of view, like Cisco's, all the big vendors who drive that through their existing channel, which then filters it down, because these resellers want to make money, right? And they do, right? And I'm not saying they have to have a bigger cost, but ultimately businesses want to make money. If they're offering it, the path of least resistance, go to one of the big service providers. What we're seeing, a shift in the market, is that customers actually want something different and are more aligned to working with outcome technology providers. And I think that's because the generation of technologists and entrepreneurs coming through are used to working for the best application for that, and an application that fits into all of their wider business keyline apps. So we are seeing a shift of like why businesses will go and choose a technology service provider, or why a reseller should choose to work with us with these suites of applications.
You can see from the reseller perspective, anything with AI, with the elements of it, anything that enables a point of differentiation. Correct. Enables a higher chance of winning opportunities and additional revenue and things like that. So look, you haven't got a crystal ball, we haven't, but where do you see over the coming kind of years, do you think we're going to get to a stage where there are no salespeople, it's AI, there's AI everywhere and there's a couple of people, or do you see the market adjusting? I guess the basic principle to me would be, when I first got into sales, we faxed contracts and there was a team that processed those contracts. And then when obviously DocuSign and things came in, you didn't need that team. Well, that team was redeployed into different areas. Do you see in the tech sector and resellers skill sets needing to move into different areas?
Yeah, I think
a massive question.
My view on it, and like Joe and the team, obviously the engineering team, they're really like, you know, into the building blocks of LLMs and, you know, how it all works, etc. And obviously I'm thankful that I got them to understand how the architecture of what happens. And I feel like for me, looking at what I see in the midterm and short term, is looking at data-driven tasks which can be automated and offer a high return of saving in time or cost of resource, are the things where if I'm looking at getting into a career, it'll be around how do I complement AI? How do I work with AI? How do we add value to a business through AI? I think if I'm a salesperson, how do I work with AI to automate and summarize, you know, my meetings, my key next actions, and drive the business forward and outcomes? I think the difficulty with lots of the AI projects that we see is that the tools aren't able to give the end user what they want to get that ROI. So with the key focus for me, if I'm looking at the forward thinking, is that, look, go into jobs where you're able to add value and you want to change and want to learn. I think there'll always be still a huge dependency around skilled staff, you know, and equally around customer service and customer people. I still feel like even with all the contact centers that we work with, there's still a huge element around the client experience, which is human. I think what we're finding is that the tasks which can be automated, which offer no value to the end user for a human to do, and they want to just get their invoice, they just want to get their insurance claim, you know, that's fine. But there is still a huge focus around that human element. And I think complementing the human element with like live transcription, you know, is it a good call? How can you help? Can you prompt?
Using it as a tool.
As a tool to enhance customer service, right? Not just get rid of people or automate it. And obviously I went to the, you know, enterprise, and they have their procurement processes and all that, and they've got budgets. But for me, in this current market, if businesses, I can help businesses with our tools deployed, you know, on a reliable, stable, accessible service, then that's great. And that's the bigger cause I talk about, you know, that's helping the Joe Blogs get a phone system and be able to manage it himself, and he runs his SME business, or then the bigger companies get access to that benefit to help them get their outcome. So that's kind of, you know, where it all aligns.
Will you ever be happy? Why?
Do you know what? It's a really good question. I don't know where.
And by happy, I know you're happy. You've got amazing kids, and all that stuff, and friends and all that. I don't mean like you're going home and you're, I'm depressed.
No.
Are you ever going to go, I'm happy with where we are.
Do you know what? There's been certain moments, like for me, which have been really humbling. Obviously, the opportunity to sit here, you know, like we met years ago. I mean, no, not that. I mean, no, but like it's a moment, though. It's a moment, not like it's a big one, but it's like what it is when you think about some of the stuff that we're doing, presenting the channel live, right? You know, I remember I went there 3 years ago with a pen and paper, and I thought, you know, well, one day we're going to come and present here, and you know, we're presenting there, and I know people got different views on channel live, and so have I, but I think ultimately it's a platform. Right, and then people say you're going to get your first service provider when you do that, and I think there's humbling moments along the way, and I'm enjoying the journey. We've got a big final push for our financial year in March, which all the team are aligned to, and then look, we go again next year. We continue that investment into what we're doing with a plan, and we build out the team in Leeds. But then after that, then we'll see what happens with regards to if we want to go and get, you know, the big investors involved.
So the answer there is. No.
No, the answer is, but I'm also going to the UAE as well, which I'm talking about. There's loads of stuff. We've got lots of stuff going on, but we've got to stay focused. At the end of the day, mate, as you know, like if we're talking about an opportunity, like it's great, you know, and I can sit here and we can talk all day about what we can do. And I think that's the hard part, is that's a big part of the role, because you've got to keep your heart, with this how things are changing. You've got to be on the future, because that's where there is, but you've also got to be able to scale a company where you've got people who can do.
It's like a lot of business owners say, you know, if you're not always looking to grow, you'll go backwards, particularly in this market.
Yeah.
Particularly in the space you're in, where there's new businesses popping up.
Yeah.
There's there's competition. There's the markets. If you're not constantly pushing the needle, so to speak, someone else will come and your lunch, as you're looking to do to the bigger boys. There's always, or girls, there's always this ecosystem that you always have to be on your toes.
And I know now, like we're putting our head, we're getting, you know, we're coming out to the market. Yeah, that's it. You're there to be shot at now, aren't you? And people are going to, and it's great, and it's just as part of that thing. And I think for us, I'm excited, and we've got a great team. We've got great technology. The market's good, really good for what we deliver. As I say, like, you know, helping businesses that they can get an out of hours automating. I think the challenge is getting people in the channel to understand the value of an ROI for these tools. And that's our challenge. And that's a challenge across the board, right? Because consumers and people and technology are the barrier. Regardless, technology can do everything, right? It really can do lots of stuff. But like it's just the user adoption of Copilot, and I think it's safe to say, obviously, everyone's aware that that's obviously not as good as what Microsoft would hope. But why? You know, because it could do everything the customer wants. But at the end of the day, humans are the barrier to access of technology adoption, right?
If you could have a superhero power, what would it be and why?
I think it was obviously to have a bit of a see into the future a little bit, and to understand how you could. That's a superpower, be able to see into that future and see how you can best align anything, really. You know, I mean, whether it's personally
you'd just win the lottery. Come on,
no, I wouldn't. No,
like, Sam's won the lottery. And
no. I think for me, the superpower would be like to, you know. I think the biggest thing which you don't ever know in sort of this business context is, you know, what's around the corner, you know, the market. And if you can have an advantage around, you know, what is going to happen, I mean, who would know? Then that's such a superpower, isn't it? Around being able to move quick and get advantage in the work front.
See, what you could do is you could spin this and go, I've already got that superpower. And what we're doing at Tinkle, I know is being demanded.
Well, no, I've already got the superpower. Yeah. No, I think keeping abreast of that is what we do.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I know people that would choose invisibility, but they would do that for different reasons. This has been a privilege, like, to the passion, and I'm really fortunate in this role to sit in front of business owners where they have the passion of this is my mission, this is where I'm going to get to. Sacrifices, I like to think I'm entrepreneurial, but I'm not willing I don't have that chip missing that you've got that will leave a job to start a new business. And it's always a privilege to sit in front of business owners, and then that drive and desire to keep going is pretty humbling. And you know, I'm fortunate, and hopefully my mum or whatever that watches this, or whoever he says, there's total respect for that, and a lot of appreciation for people like me, for business owners, where you've put it all on the line, you know, and hopefully, God willing, you get rewarded for it because you deserve to be. But it's been a pleasure, mate.
I appreciate it.
I mean, obviously, we're going you know, I'm going to be at Channel Live, so I'll see you at Channel Live.
Cheers.
Hopefully this comes out before.
Yeah.
Excited for Channel Live because I think I've given some feedback in the past, not that it's down to me, far from it, that it was in need of a refresh, the event. And I'm really excited now that it's a one-day event.
Yeah.
Primary focus is going to be on MSPs and resellers with businesses there who can add value to them in a quite unique environment.
Yeah.
Because it's been crying out for that for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll see a lot of people there, a lot of resellers, and there'll be a few after party hijinks as well, hopefully.
No, this will be good. And listen, thank you for inviting me in. I've been looking forward to it. And also just catching up with you, Will. I mean, you're a great guy, and I can't wait to. The Channel Live parties, or your parties are always pretty fun, to be fair. So
there is no party like an Elevate Wholesale party.
We'll have a good party.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
So much.
Take care,
Cheers,
man.
mate.
Bye.
Thank you.
Mr. Sam's a legend. I really enjoyed that. To have been on his journey and start a company, having at one point said, I don't really want to live in Manchester. I'm going to work in Leeds for a reseller. Actually, I want to work for a big business. I'm going to go to London. I'm going to do £1 million deals. I'm going to start a tech business. I'm going to do a networking group. I want to keep pushing, to never accept and to always keep driving. It's been an absolute privilege to listen to, and it shows a lot of the fundamentals needed in starting a business and growing a business. And my appreciation was decent before, but it's grown a hell of a lot now. Hopefully you enjoy this, and thank you.